I played Ben Mitchell for 5 years in EastEnders, and while my character was no stranger to emotional struggles on screen...
Richie. Just get me out of here.
During that time, I had one of my own personally. I lost my best friend of 15 years. Maxwell died from a brain tumour 2.5 years ago, and the impact has been life-changing.
I felt as if it wasn't as well registered or understood as potentially losing a family member or next to kin. And of course, because I spent so much time with him, I really noticed his absence when he was gone. And that feeling of loneliness, that overwhelming sentiment of loneliness just became so apparent. And that's what I suffered with.
Grief is personal, but as I know, the death of a best friend leaves a void that is difficult to fill. I'm meeting Helen Daniels, who lost her best friend of 25 years, Kerry, to cancer in August 2023.
Kerry was the life and soul of the party, but she was kind. She was just a wonderful person.
I love that. She sounds amazing.
You go to her for anything, and I think that's another thing I've lost now, is that the person I went to for everything. I've had to just get up and get on with looking after my son. And I think, I don't know if with you, we mask a lot of it as well.
I wouldn't talk about it.
I'd say since losing Kerry, I've been through a really, really rough time. The grief is still there, the heartache is still there.
Helen has also experienced another tough bereavement, the death of her mother.
How did it compare, losing your mother, obviously, who you loved so much, and then losing Kerry as your best friend?
Either somebody has lost their parent, or at some point you've had that thought in your head, I will lose my parent one day, but you don't think, I'm going to lose my 41-year-old friend. But the grief, I would say, has been a lot tougher losing Kerry, because I envisioned my life with her.
The reason we love so much and the reason we feel so much grief is because of the impact they had on our lives. And I think we were both lucky to have such great friends.
Yeah.
Everyone experiences grief differently. A recent study on the impact the death of a friend has on the people they leave behind was led by Professor Liz Forbat, a research psychologist and professor at Stirling University.
It seemed to us that there was this really clear gap in understanding the impact on people when a friend dies.
Why do you think this is?
I think implicitly, socially, we have this idea about a hierarchy of grief, and that one death somehow trumps other ones and is more important than other deaths.
Isn't that crazy?
The death of a friend should have equal status with all other griefs and bereavements. So it impacts how well they feel in their own physical health. It impacts their feeling of emotional well-being. I think what we can do is to also recognise that there are occasions when actually friends become as important, if not more important, than family.
Some people find that keeping the memory of lost loved ones alive can be a helpful way to process the loneliness of grief. John Bell honours his best friend Jason, who died of cancer, every year through organising a memorial walk.
Jason and I became friends when we were 11. We met through the Boys Brigade, the youth organisation, and that's where our friendship grew and cemented.
And you lost him 4 years ago?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I wanted to do something to remember him, something we could do. The walk itself, it's there to raise money, but it's more about just keeping Jason alive and with us as a group. I won't miss an opportunity to talk about him.
Did you notice that society kind of treats it differently?
Very much so, yeah. But Jason was the first of my friend network to go. And it just rocked me. It was really, really tough. And
I want to give you a hug. Sorry.
So you feel a bit guilty that you're suddenly thinking there'll be no more in-jokes between he and I, you know, well, we won't sit and talk about Star Wars until the cows come home.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Is a lot of the time you're in as much of a relationship with these people as you are with your wife or with your partner or with your...
Well, in many cases...
they're the family we choose.
Yeah. And do you know what? I've known Jason longer than I've known my wife, we've been through an awful lot together, you know.
Like John, I had a good support network around me when Max died. But some people find they don't have the opportunities to talk about the friends they miss. Linda Magistris set up the Good Grief Trust 7 years ago to offer support to people after any kind of bereavement, including the death of a friend.
Why did you set up the Good Grief Trust?
It's to bring people together and to try and signpost them to help and hope in one place. Grief is completely unique. So now we have over 1,000 charities, support services, helplines, groups under the one umbrella.
By entering your postcode on the Good Grief Trust website, you can find out what support services are available near to where you live.
Is there one piece of key advice?
Reach out, maybe chat to somebody. There is always hope for a way forward. You've just got to do it very slowly.
It really is comforting to know there is support available. If you're finding it hard, there are some great organisations you can make contact with to talk openly about how you feel grieving a friend.
I just think that we as a society have to do better. We have to better recognise the impact that losing a friend can have on our lives, just as much as we do a family member, because the fact is, sometimes they're one and the same.